Hello guys and welcome to a slightly delayed start of the Superlights Championship 2023. This is round 9 from Silverstone, the 5.9 kilometers long track, one of the fastest tracks on the calendar. And we are in for an exciting race. We only have 5 minutes left of qualifying, so we'll very quickly catch up with where everyone is currently in the timing chart. I am joined by David Jundt today. David, welcome along. Hope you're looking forward to today's race.
Yeah. Good evening, guys. Yeah, I am too. Looks dry today.
Yeah, it wasn't promising to be 100% dry, but it actually is dry out on track right now. We can see quite a few drivers setting low 31s. That was kind of the pace in practice. Pascal actually up there in second place and Gobby in third. That's good for those guys. They'll want to take the fight to our championship leader. Actually, if you look at Ragusa's back as well for TX3, so we've got Ragusa and Gobby. It's kind of the 18 for those guys. They will want to improve on their Canada race, won't they, David? Because they both crashed out, if you remember.
Yeah, indeed. I was just gonna say, I was like, recovering from the jinx that I gave them after, kind of putting my coins on them, and then it all went south. But yeah, I'm kind of hoping they can challenge Owen and Pascal at the front again. Looks like Ayers is also up there today, who I think last time was missing, and Riboli was team manager Riboli was driving for him, and now he's back and he looks to be on pace here today.
Absolutely, he does. I completely agree. We'll want to take the fight to the kind of championship contenders. I know Sandeep Singh was working with Toby in the build-up to this race, and he will look to improve his kind of relative performance to his team. He's been struggling a little bit in qualifying. He's currently 4 tenths off, down in 7th place, but that road to Formula car is quick here, and Sandeep will want to do a lot better than he has been doing this season. I would anticipate. He has certainly been slightly off the pace of his teammate, and that's someone to keep an eye on, I would say, David.
Yeah, indeed. I don't know, maybe he would, this time he would prefer not to be alternative strategy thinking and starting 11th, so 7th he can just focus on use the soft compound and have a go. Of course, you, as a driver, you always want to be starting as high as you can, and then think about 11th is secondary thought, what you're gonna take as the plan for the race. But of course, he'll want to be as high as possible as he can, and as close as to his teammate as possible. I mean, after some news. Oh, whoops! There he goes a bit off. I'm already jinxing.
That's his last chance actually, because he's not going to get another lap in. He'll be able to do another lap on these tyres, but they're very there's very high tyre wear here at Silverstone. They are using the harder compounds of tyre, the C123. And the C3 itself only has performance for 1 lap, so he's going to struggle to get a competitive lap out of the second lap of those tyres. A good final sector from Gobby, look, and he's in P3. In fact, he's kept his position but improved his lap time there. And here's Patrick Magnussen, who had a decent race last time out for Gallery 82. That is not within track limits, and this lap will not count. So track limits is something to watch, David. So I was just going to mention that we're not using the in-game track limits this time round. The track limit is the edge of the black and white curve. That's as far as you can go. So keep an eye on that throughout the race. You don't want to be running wide through what was the older turn 1, Cops Corner at Silverstone.
I was just gonna say, at some point, we see it in real life too. I mean, this should not be an excuse, but in a draft, it can very easily happen that you lose traction or just drift wide and go over the lines. But that turns of cops and Stowe will be a bit difficult on the full load. But we'll see.
Yeah, it's you can still have 2 wheels within the white lights. You can kind of go. I should clarify. You can go over the edge of the curve. You still have to have 2 wheels within white lines to do that. So Ragusa moves up to P4 whilst we were discussing that. We've got a lot to get through because we are delayed in qualifying. But this man absolutely top of the pile once again. He has been most of the season. He has done a purple first sector as well, so this looks like it will be an improvement, solidifying pole position I'm looking down the field. If you can, if you guys want to follow along, you can have a look on race-view.com and go to the GPVWC server. I have posted a link in the YouTube chat. You might have to scroll up by now, and you can follow along with what we're looking at in terms of the timings. You can see who is improving. So Hygo Poom in P14 has set 2 green sectors, so watch out for him as he comes towards the finish line as well. But this man, he's going to definitely improve on his lap time. This will solidify pole position for Road to Formula.
There's a slight slip, but yeah, it looks good. Makes it look easy. Ooh, it's the last sector a bit slow, but it's an improvement.
Poom does move up to 9th position, look, so he did improve on that lap and gets himself well within the top 10, so that's good news for him. Here's Mano Manikandan. I'm gonna have to find out where he's from. Szymon probably knows, and we'll find out where he's from, and then I'll be able to get his name correct. So that is qualifying. Sorry guys, I know it was only 5 minutes. We had some difficulties with our server, but thankfully Szymon was able to resolve it. So yeah, thank you very much, Szymon, for sticking at it. And when we do actually get a broadcast tonight, which is great news, and you guys can all follow along. So these are the qualifying results. It's certainly, you know, it's going to be one of those where the race is long, and it doesn't matter too much about your qualifying position, particularly with the overtaking opportunities we have down the Hanger Straight, down the Wellington Straight, and into Copse as well, and on the old start-finish straight too. So plenty of overtaking opportunities. So keep an eye out for people like Michael Ayers in 5th place there, and whether Hygo Poom and Dylan Platt can make positions up. He's Indian, Szymon says. Oh, thank you very much. Well, namaste. Welcome to Superlights. I'm not sure if I've seen you before, Mano, but welcome. 22nd position for him on his debut, so that's great news. This is the second half of the grid then. I've missed reading them all out. I was talking too much. David, but it was hard to follow along for the last few minutes anyway, so but yeah, what do you think, David? I mean, what's the strategy likely to be here? Do you think it's a 2-stop race, or?
Oh boy, I haven't even looked like at the tires a lot. Like, I mean, yeah, on the full load on this track, the tire wear is of course being higher than on the stop-go than Montreal. I'm not sure. I think I could see maybe people opt for like even a 3-stop, but that could give them, like, they don't have to worry as much, but they'll have to make it on track. And at the same time, you have the pit lane that has its like slightly different, you know, layout, where you initially are just cutting by the last turn, but of course I could still like be in favor if you make a quick pit stop and everything goes well, and you can actually make use of a 3 or a 2-stopper. So it could be a valid strategy. I'm just not sure yet if that will work out, but I mean, of course, the higher you are, possibly the better it would work.
Yeah, I think that's true. Actually, the higher you start, the more options you have. Definitely, you can kind of create a gap, especially if you're right on the front of the field. You can create a gap at the start of the race and pull away from other people very easily, and that can open up an additional stop later in the race. That said, sometimes it's better to start outside of the top 10. So a brief reminder. You can start on whatever tire you like, but if you start inside the top 10, you have to start on the tire you qualified on, which usually is the soft. So we are just over the halfway point of the season too, so you can see from the calendar in front of us, today is the British Grand Prix. We have Hungary in 2 weeks' time, and then we have a visit to Spa in Belgium, which will be fun. After that, a 4-week break for the summer, and then on to Monza, Singapore, Suzuka, Abu Dhabi, and Interlagos in Brazil to end the season. Should be a very fun back half of the season. Much more fun tracks for me, and far fewer nonsense street tracks, which we seem to have had quite a lot of at the start of this season. So What's your favourite track on the calendar, David? I have to say I know which one mine is, but what's your favourite track?
Be careful if you talk too much about not liking street tracks. You have to be alert on a street track. Oh boy, like difficult. To be honest, people will probably hate it, but I've kind of, you know, you will not love it if something happens to you, but I kind of like Baku being a kind of mix, being fast, being a street track, but being also kind of, you know, not just flat pancake and race along that. Like, well, sorry Singapore, but well, we still have to see how Singapore will be, like what layout we will have. But I think Baku is just always kind of an interesting one. So they're probably not surprised that I even jumped in at like late minute in FS2 back then to race there. Otherwise, I mean, I'm not always doing well there. I kind of like Montreal, but I stood in SL1, but I was not doing too bad, but I was just not really being that fast or anywhere close, and FS2 was also difficult for me. But I kind of still like Montreal kind of layout. Probably also some like the historic ones like Spa, of course, but oof, other ones I probably have already forgotten some, like.
Well, give me
like
a one-word answer. What's your one-word answer for your favourite track on the calendar?
Like I already need to work my brain around which ones we've been at, we've still to go to. Yeah, but I kind of like just Spark, just thinking of it like up down,
That's
and it's kind of difficult.
Is that your one-word Spa?
Oh, now it's Spa. Well, okay, can we go with Spa?
Yeah, okay, Spa. The worst answer to that question ever. I think for me, Silverstone always holds a special place in my heart. I like racing here, online and in the real world. It's a cracking track. It's so flat. It's also very windy in real life. Something you don't really kind of get in the virtual world, but it's incredibly windy. It used to be an airfield, of course, built on a flat piece of land in Northamptonshire. And it's one of those where you have to be careful of where the wind's coming from, where the rain is coming from, where the weather's coming from. It can turn up in a moment. And we saw that actually in the Formula 1 race a couple of weeks ago, or last week, sorry. You know, where the rain just sort of tipped up out of nowhere during qualifying and then dried out quickly as well, because it's so windy and such a modern track as well these days. It's been upgraded so many times over the years. So Silverstone holds a special place in my heart, but I absolutely think Spa is probably the greatest racing track in the world. It's an incredible place. So I'm looking forward to that round.
Well, speaking of Silverstone, that reminds me like a historical. I mean, you talked about it, like Silverstone is, even in different layouts over the years, over the long time it has existed, many different layouts, but it has most of the time always been like a very fast track. Like, I mean, even we now have the modern turn 3, like what, the loop, village, what's it called? I have to look at the track map again. But and then we also have, of course, the last chicane, but the rest of it is still really fast. Even from its like inception back then. Still remember like in the pre-Formula 1 era, like even a Swiss one, like Emmanuel Baron Toulouse de Grafenried once won a race here, but it didn't count, and he never really won. Well, he never won in Formula 1 afterwards, but I just remember it now. And here, I mean, it's big difficult from, like, I was talking about like Montreal, how it's feeling, how you drive that track, and Silverstone is another opposite. It's also fast, like Montreal is also fast, but the Montreal one is more of a stop and go, and here we are at like a rather flowing track, which, like, I would say characteristics, especially that cops, max effects coming up here, are really important to this track, because since it's so flowing, you need to keep a good car balance going, so wing settings, we're also thinking probably like anti-roll bar and the differential, so you need to have the weight transfer. In these turns, they need to come in quickly, handy. You got to keep the car in check. You don't want to understeer, wreck your tires, and then probably be also later sitting duck in DRS. But also no too much, back-end problems, that the car is too unstable and you're prone to spinning. But these 3 turns, this section can really make or break a lap.
Yeah, I think one thing you said there, I mean, obviously the track has undergone quite a few changes over the years. It used to be a lot quicker. If you guys get a chance, and the thing about virtual racing that's so incredible actually, is that you can go back in time sometimes. You can download old versions of tracks, and yeah, the early 90s, the first time that we had Maggots and Beckett's introduced, that track was incredible. Before the Abbey chicane, what a track that was. So there'll be in a version somewhere of that layout. Strongly recommend that one. And of course the old kind of pre-loop version with where we're looking at Michael Ayers now. I mean, this is the old start-finish straight coming into Cops. This version of the track as well, where before it went kind of a tight chicane, we had the bridge corner. What a corner, unbelievable. And kind of sad that doesn't exist in Silverstone anymore, but we do have the loop and we have more overtaking opportunities as a result, don't we, David?
True. I was just saying, like, I also grew up with the version that, I mean, for me it's also kind of part of iconic with the drive through bridge, under the bridge, and then into Priory. I had to look it up because of getting turns here, because they're not used anymore. But it was like, I mean, for the first part of it I was probably too young, but the later part, I mean, it was most of the time there. So it's a shame that it's not there anymore, that you don't go through Abbey to the left after turn 1, but that's how it is. And I mean, I'm not too mad about the Wellington Straight and such. It's just nostalgia for one part, but it was also a very special version. I mean, to those that grew up in that time.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of versions, I did quiz Chris Williamson. I asked him which version of the Singapore layout we might expect to see, and typical Chris Williamson answer, hoping for the revised layout for this year, but not guaranteed. Well, there's your answer. We may or may not have it. I mean, he did do an exceptional job of updating the Australia track last season to the new layout.
Indeed.
Really, really good to see that. And of course, he built the Jeddah version that we got this season too. So he's a very talented track modifier as well, Chris Williamson. So I do hope to see the new layout of Singapore. It's all work that gets put in out of love of GPVWC, so we can't expect too much. But what we do get is often very stable, very reliable tracks that don't crash, and very occasionally we have these minor little bugs, but most of the time the tracks are really, really good looking tracks for GPVWC, and they're all free. You just have to pay your license to race and get access to them, and frankly it's a lovely system, and I the openness and the availability of the content in GPV is why we have 4 full grids and academy, and it's good to see it flourishing, and it's nice to see a decent number of cars still around in Superlights as well. It's often the championship that kind of we see a few cars disappear. We've got 24 people on the grid today. That's good. That's a decent turnout, and we've got a couple of drivers, or a couple of teams I should say, that've got drivers coming back. We've got Manikandan coming in for PZZW. Nice to see him here today. We've got Michael Ayers returning. People do want to come and race here, and it's a good championship to race in Superlights. It is the second tier. The driving standards have to be pretty good in this at this level. We've got four leagues plus a 5th with academy, which kind of everyone's just is an introduction to GPVWC, if you like. So it's good to see people in Superlights trying their best and racing hard, and hopefully we can have a nice clean race this time round. There was quite a lot of penalties from the last round, and frankly a few of them deserved. So we'll speak about that during the race, but we have now finished warm-up, and we haven't spoken too much about the competition today, but there is competition out there. The top 4 or 5, I would say, are going to be very, very close, and there is opportunities to overtake here. There's 2 DRS zones, and it's a fast track as well. So should be relatively, in these modern new cars that we have with more downforce being produced under the car rather than over the top, we should have cars able to follow a little closer than we've seen before.
Personally, I'm just making probably comparisons that sometimes should not be drawn, but like when I'm looking back at the race over this weekend, I've seen like people with the softer compound. You thought they would jump these people with DRS then, but then their tires started to wear out at some point and they couldn't really make any inroads. So I'm just wondering how long it would take to kind of, I mean, it doesn't take time if somebody has to catch up to somebody first on a softer compound, but how long it would take until the tire would not really make the difference anymore to just cruise by on DRS. So I'm kind of wondering to see how it will pan out later.
So we have the grid for today's race. We have seen once again for Road to Formula, McGorgy takes pole position. Christian Pascal in second place for Red Arrow Racing. Good result for him. He has won a race at Spain this year. Fabrizio Gobbi following him is Ragusa's teammate. Michael Ayers in fifth with Joseph Herlock for Red Arrow. In sixth with Sandeep Singh. And Christian Francesconi in 8th position for TG. 9th is Heigl Poom with Dylan Platt in 10th position. Michael Francesconi in 11th. And Stavros Musaidis for Valley in P12. 13th place goes to Patrick Magnussen for Gallery 82. 14th we've got Jan Sikora, who I don't believe I've seen here before, but we'll check that. Tom van der Voort for Dreig and Lorenzo Capellini in 16th place. Renko Dezeo in 17th with G. Sonneveld in 18th place. Alexander Ragoza in 19th place, followed by Kevin Voigt in 20th, with Manu Manikandan in 21st, Jerry Van Bussel in 22nd, Kilian Huit in 23rd, and Flavio Zangoli in 24th position.
I'm pretty sure, I mean, I thought it was obvious, but like, I think Magnussen is now driving the car for Santana, or I'm not sure who is now the primary driver, but Santana from last time, and now Magnussen is in the car. And I think the new guy at PC, I think he joined like yesterday or today, so it's really nice. out of the blue. But at least he's putting a car on the grid. That's cool.
The guy being Manikandan, of course. Nice to see as Van der Voort suffers a little bit of something or other coming to the grid. But we've got Zangoli coming through the final corner now. Not in his grid slot. He reverses back and gets back into his grid slot so that we can get underway. Thank you, Flavio.
It is also a red square, so it's fine.
And we just wait for the grid to sort itself out there. And hopefully we will get under racing. Here we go. Here come the lights now then. So it'll be 5 lights, and then we will be underway. And out we go. And McGorgy gets a good start. Pascal is going to have to slot in behind him, and Gobbi is pressuring Pascal actually into turn 2. He will be, in fact, Pascal does take that position and hold on to it. Ayers has managed to get by Ragusa, and he is up to 4th position as they sweep through the left-hander and onto the Wellington straight for the first time. And everyone has got through there relatively cleanly. McGorgy goes defensive. He tries to break the toe. And in fact, it's actually Ragusa and Ayers who are going side by side through here, through the left-hander and into the final corner. So what was the final corner? It's not anymore. Ragusa side by side still, and Ayers on the outside, but Ragusa holds on and takes back that position from Ayers. A great start for TX3, though. They hold on to their 3rd and 4th. Here's Magnussen side by side with Musaidis, that is, coming through Cops now, and it's very tight through there, and they manage to survive, and Magnussen does lose that spot then to Musaidis, but looks to me like everyone's got away cleanly, and there seems to be no kind of trouble. There's no broken wings or anything thus far.
I think I've seen 2 cars spin or collide at like turn 1, but just out of the eye. Most of the other guys are looking good right now.
is Sonneveld for TTF. He's just behind Sakura, that is. I'm going to have to get used to saying that name today. But Jan Sakura for TTF, I believe he's making his debut this season. And he's managed to squeeze by Jerry Van Bussel, who, along with Van der Voort, has been... they've been at times quick, and then you kind of see them in trouble one way or the other. Hopefully, for those guys' sake, they have a nice, clean race today. Especially Van der Voort, who's definitely had an up and down season so far. But Ayers has stuck with the TX3s so far, and this is at the end of this lap we will have DRS enabled, and when we have DRS, it should be a very interesting race. See whether Pascal can stick with the leader, or whether he will lose ground. But Christian Pascal's still well within that 1 second, and if he stays there, he will get DRS and he will get that drag reduction system benefit. Let's have a little look at the replay. What happened here then, David?
The turn 1 out of the eye moment. Oh, we have ballast spinning there, and a lost wing for one of the... Oof, who was that? A PCW?
Yeah, potentially.
Going both here.
Yeah, couldn't quite see what happened here. Oh, we got tagged from behind. And then, yeah, we lost and that's a lot of damage. Look at the crookedness of the steering. Who was that then? It was Manikandan. That's such a shame for him. He's in the pit lane. Oh, it was... no, sorry, my bad. It was Zongoli.
Oh. Oh. That was a bad moment for Zongoli, who found somebody parked in his way.
In the pits. Okay, so something happened with Manikandan as well then. So he... at this point is okay. Oh, and I've just got a rear tyre lock-up.
Oh, no.
And then just came straight back to the... yeah, nothing Zongoli could do about that. That's a shame for both of them. So we go back to the leaders then. And Pascal very much within DRS. Look at his rear wing is open. He will be trying desperately to hang on for as long as he can. I love this camera, by the way. They have this in real life too. It's the kind of spider cam that floats over the track and zooms in and out. It's a great camera. And Pascal, you can see, still on the coattails and desperately trying to hang on. The TX3 guys as well, they are still within well within their own DRS range of Pascal. So this could be a little bit of a train forming. It all depends on whether they can break out from the driver behind, David. But yeah, should be a few laps more of this, and they'll break away from certainly 6th, 7th, 8th position if they can hang on to that. Oh, Magnussen has got no wings. What's happened to him? Must have been earlier in the lap. Is this Cox? What do you think, David?
Van der Voort also out, by the way. Might have been... no, probably not. Too far away.
No,
oh, what could happen?
Could be spin on the exit here. Too wide on the curb, spin on the exit.
Oh.
Oh, no. He's going to come back across the track. No, okay. Okay. So what happened to Van der Voort then? He had his own incident. What happened here then, David?
I just hope it wasn't disconnection. Oh, no, just too much. Loses traction at the back, and then... well...
okay.
Keeps going? Well, I don't know, I thought...
so... just pits and retires, very interesting.
I'm not sure if the Drake, like...
I just looked at the Discord, he's not very happy.
Oh.
Not a happy man. I can't repeat any of what he's just put in Discord. Oh, poor Tom.
It's a shame. It's a shame, like the Drake was lately was kind of one of the better upgraded cars, if I remember right, from Montreal. Maybe it's not that suitable for Silverstone, so... and then of course, I don't know what Tom has seen, but probably was helped in deciding it was enough for today.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Here we have Ayers then. Now, yeah, is that wing open for... it isn't. Ragusa's lost DRS, look, to his teammate. So the top three now have managed to get a little break on to P4. That's crucial for those guys' race, isn't it?
Like, man, if you like just at one stage losing it and you have everyone sitting behind you and attacking, And as we have Remco here being attacked by, I think, Rogosa, doesn't work here. And yeah, the undercut doesn't work there, but somebody else is trying to look at it.
That's somebody else, is Jere Van Bussel, and he's trying to squeeze through on the inside, but unable to do it this time around. It's a difficult corner to get alongside there anyway. Frankly, it's better to just wait until... Oh, and Van Bussel's going to send it down the inside of Ragosa. He goes for the move. He's still on the outside here through the left-hander, but it's all about the exit here. You want to be on the rubber line. They've got to give each other space onto the Wellington straight. Oh, it was so tight through there, but Van Bussel was just behind. Ragosa may get away with that, but Van Bussel's going to take him anyway on the inside as they head into the left-hander, and he has booked that position coming into Luffield now, and Van Bussel is through. And that was a good move, actually, wasn't it, David, considering he'd just been squeezed wide?
Indeed, I didn't think it would make it stick the next turn, but at the same time it's like live to fight another day, so it's not over yet. And Kilian on the curbs, unstable, and then well goes off to make a quick spin there and back on it. Bit weird, like I didn't even think the car was like at full speed, but if you go over the sausage or the anti-cuts inside, it's of course a different story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to be very careful with where you place your car here, and that's the result if you don't quite get it right. So Pascal, still 7/10 only from the lead of this race. He's well within DRS. He's going to stick here as long as he can. If you can stay within DRS, you can see the tyre choice here on the left-hand side of the screen. A lot of people going for softs. Obviously, they started on that tyre, but outside of the top 10, we've got 3 people, I believe, who started on those tyres as well. We've got Mazayidis on mediums. He's behind Michael Francesconi, who's also on medium. So watch out for those guys. That's the C2 tyre. It should be able to go relatively far into this race, 17 or 18 lap potentially. The softs, I'm told, are good for 12 or 13. So we will see. And then, of course, the hards will do 20 to 22, which is why I don't think one stop's just possible. It might be, but I don't think you want to do that anyway here. I think it's probably faster to 2-stop. And the likely strategy, I would say, would be C3, C2, C2. But we'll see, Dan.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised. I'm not such a huge fan of the hards, surprisingly. Side by side here, towards cops.
Yeah, Zezeo easily making that move before he gets there, actually. It looked like he might have been on the push to pass there, actually.
It's not a track behind him.
Yeah, there's a curb there for a reason. But yeah, that looked like to me he was on the push to pass button. Of course, if you're new to the series, it's 80 seconds of push to pass they get, and they can use it whenever they want. And here comes Van Bussel. He is going flying down the straight. He's got DRS and push to pass, and he overtakes before they even get to Stowe corner, and he goes through up into 14th place. Pascal's very close to McGorgy at the front of the field, by the way.
He just had a lag out moment, I think, if I also looked at the standings. Brief one. Hope it's not coming back. Or we would lose a very nice lead battle here. Well, battle. They all kind of, you know, 2 of them just waiting and seeing what happens, being carried around so long, but don't even think they want to pass right now.
You don't want to necessarily. You can kind of, you know, sit there in the slipstream, save some tyres, and just push on the straights and use that DRS to catch back up. So clever thinking. If they wanted to overtake, they would try. You have got that push to pass aid, and yeah, Pascal in a good position there, I would say, looking after his tyres. And of course, Gobby right there too. We didn't discuss top speeds actually in qualifying. Let me have a little look at what the top speeds in qualifying were. Again, race-view.com if you want to have a little look at this. Top speeds in qualifying. Okay, pretty much everyone on the same wing settings. In fact, it's McGorgy with the fastest straight line speed, and Michael Ayers too. Zongoli, what are we looking at here? He just spun. I was looking at race view. Okay.
The fan of the track, I assumed in.
Let's have a look. Here's Flavio Zongoli.
I think he's at the hards.
Medium tyre, C2.
Medium, okay. Okay, just draw a dirty air, maybe a bit helped, or I don't know.
Sure. Yep. And here's Remco de Zeo. What happened to de Zeo here also? Always.
Oh.
Yeah, a little tap from behind. It was a little bit late on the brakes there. Who was that fighting? Was it Ragosa fighting with him? I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alexander.
Close.
Just if we go on board with him, just a little too much apex speed. Probably caught out a little bit by the lack of apex speed from de Zeo, but yeah, unfortunately, Ragosa runs into the back of him, spinning round, so not ideal. Here's Dylan Platt down in P18. Has he pitted?
Yep.
Okay.
Szymon just, I think, mentioned it, but looks like he's a bit different strategy than I guess. Doesn't want to get stuck.
He's going for a big undercut there on lap 7, a big undercut. As we see Kevin Voish is round and he's missing his front wing too. So I suspect if you look at the tyre marks, he probably lost it on the exit of Stowe on the curb, bounced into the inside wall and lost his front wing. Let's see if I'm right. I'm quite good at predicting what happens in these replays. Let's see. Oh, on power, not even on the curb. The rest of it's correct. Poor Kevin. Oh, look how close Pascal is to the lead now this time round. This is much tighter, David.
Indeed, and I think I've also noticed back behind, I think Ragusa keeps losing, like it's just like 1 or 2 tenths, but it looks like he kind of always loses that tiny bit and he can't recover it anymore. So it's between them, but at the same time they're just using Owen as the locomotive right now and just keep chugging away. So Ragusa just can't catch up under these circumstances. So I think if he would want to, get back close in it, he would also have to kind of start an undercut and not wait until these guys pit as Pascal goes tiny bit deep there.
Keep an eye here on Dylan Platt. He is quite quick out of the pit lane on those new hard tyres. He is going to move up the order quite substantially. This undercut might work quite well for him, especially if people in P7 or ish start fighting. He was around Heigl Poom, his teammate, in P8 when he pitted. Keep an eye on where he comes out. I suspect he'll make up track position. It may harm him later in the race in terms of tyre wear, but a bold strategy from Dylan. This could work for him, as we see Fabrizio Gobbi and Pascal both with DRS, but not wanting to make the move yet. This is very wise driving. It's a strategic game, this. It's going to be who blinks first for the pit lane and who goes onto that undercut strategy out of those leading 3. It is a little early, I would say, to come off those C3 soft tyres just yet. They should be good for 10 to 12 laps, I'm told. We'll see.
I think I was slightly surprised that Dylan decided to go for the very really early undercut, as you said, but maybe also surprising that TR was not quite on it as like in Montreal, where they were really close to winning. But maybe the car is also not suiting this track as much, so they have to go and try to force the issue a bit with an aggressive approach here.
Well, you can see the developmental paths that people have taken on the GPVWC.com website. If you go to the competitions tab, scroll down to Superlights and click development, you can see who has upgraded where. And actually Drag have the fastest car on paper here, along with Valle, Red Arrow, and then TR Road to Formula, only the 5th fastest cars. We see Pascal running a little bit wide through Cops. He doesn't want to do that too many times. He's in danger of being in trouble with a steward if he does that too many times there. But yeah, so in terms of cars, I mean, Red Arrow have got a, on paper, faster car than Road to Formula here, so keep an eye out for their pace as the race goes on. And in fact, Pascal is closer than he's ever been to the back of that Road to Formula as they head into Stowe for lap 10. Now the pit window, I would say, is open properly, excluding Dylan Platt, who, by the way, was the fastest driver on track last time round. So keep an eye on where he comes out. It's going to be interesting. The next few laps will be very interesting from a strategy point of view.
That is now catching up to Coppolini for P16, so it's also crucial how quickly he will maneuver around him, and then the next car like Sonneveld, as we have his teammate Heiko in the pit lane, as well as newcomer Shikora.
Yes, so Shikora is driving for TTF on his debut, but Heiko Pum, where he comes out, is where I'm interested in. Gobby has had enough. He's going through past Pascal. He wants to make some progress. This might be his box lap, therefore. So he's trying to make progress as fast as possible. Keep an eye on who boxes where out of these leading three. You do the opposite to your rival. If this is your box lap, you do the opposite to the car in front of you. And Pum has still come out in front of Dylan, so Dylan must have got caught up behind Capolini a little bit. I know there was a couple of seconds between them, but he's not made as much progress as I thought he would. Platt still stuck behind Capolini as they exit Luffield and come down the start-finish straight. And Capolini's edged him to the edge of the track. He's going to have to give him a bit more room than that. Platt just runs it down the curb. And they go side by side through Cops. That was good driving from the pair of them, actually, to give each other enough room. But now they have to be fair through this flat outright kink. And as they head into Maggots and Beckett, they're still side by side. There's contact there between Capolini and Platt. And Platt runs wide, and he's... Dylan! Why do you do this to me every race? And he appears back on the track. Gobby, Pascal, and McGorgy have stayed out. Here comes Ragusa then. So he's hoping to make a little bit of track position and catch back up. I missed that, Szymon, in my ear. Christian Francesconi is out. Look at that DNF. And he was... Where was he? Top 10, 11th or something, wasn't he? So must have had some kind of issue. And here comes Gobby. Look, he's definitely pressuring. He's way off the rubber line there. He will lose some time doing that. But he's pressuring the leader then. Gobby wants the lead of the race. This is harming their overall race time. This is allowing Ragusa with that undercut to potentially come into contact at the end of this lap. So keep an eye. Ragusa's got out ahead of Sonneveld as well. So the strategy working okay. What happened to Francesconi, David?
I hope it's not that what I thought of. Because it was so sudden. Oh no. It is what I thought. It's just like Dylan had this thing, but he came back, which is kind of interesting. Like, can't see me, I just take the place, and but it happens to Christian. And here's a bit of no. At least straight again.
Yeah, but you can see that coming from a mile back. There wasn't enough room there to stick the nose in. And Gobby's taken the lead, look, and McGorgy boxes. So McGorgy is going to have one lap better tyres than Pascal and Ragusa, and Gobby, sorry. But where is Ragusa going to come out relative to the Road to Formula car? Let's see. This is the key for me. This is the kind of this is the apex point of the race. You know, where will Ragusa come out? Is that undercut worth you know, a second or two that he needed to catch back up? McGorgy exits the pit lane. Ragusa's frankly, where is he? He's rounding. Okay, so it is worth something. So Ragusa's caught up a little bit. He'll be very close, if not ahead, of Gobby and Pascal then in a lap's time. And in fact, he's only, I think he's less than a second from McGorgy here, so he'll keep DRS. I'm watching Francesconi again. Oh no, we're not. We're going back to where Gobby... So Gobby took the lead. McGorgy thought, right, I'm going to box. No problem. In fact, Gobby would be minded there to actually pit on that lap. But he hasn't. He stayed out. So these two will have one lap older tyres. But if you look at where McGorgy, Ragusa are, they're in clean air as well. So they'll be able to take advantage of that fresh tyre. They've gone on to the medium tyre, by the way. So Platt's hard tyre. Those two going to the C2 medium, and they do both inevitably pit. So are they going... Ooh, Gobby a little bit less brave on the pit entry line there. Are they going to brave a different strategy? As McGorgy sets purple sector in the middle sector, he will definitely clear these guys. What tyres do they go to, though, David?
Probably the same strategy, I'm guessing. I don't think they'll go to the hardest compound yet.
Side by side.
Close with saying.
Yeah.
Oh! Oh, side by
Look at
side.
Yeah, look at that.
He got him.
Yeah, Pascal's got
Wow.
him. And I tell you what, Ragusa's going to get him too. Oh, side by side. In fact, Gobby just sneaks in front, look.
And Owen's just gone right now, isn't it? I think he's out of DRS range right now.
He is, but they've got a couple of cars in front of them too. But yeah, that could be, if they are genuinely going to stay outside of DRS, Pascal needs to push a lot. Actually, it's very crucial for his race if he gets involved with these TX3s. But the tyre wear on that Road to Formula wasn't the best at the end of the stint, was it? That was very close, by the way. Exiting the pit lane. Turns out the Red Arrow crew obviously a little bit better than the TX3s.
I wonder if there are any unsafe releases.
Well, it's a bit, yeah.
Oof.
Yeah, it's not ideal, but this is it's not the same as the reason the unsafe release is the thing in Formula 1 is because of the people in the pit lane. You don't have that issue here.
True.
So the gap between, so it's 1.7 seconds. So Pascal needs to make up 7 tenths to get back inside DRS. That's a bit of time to make up, you know. He'd be minded to use a little bit of push to pass to get there. Yeah, it's going to be tricky from there. And behind Gobby and Ragusa, Michael Ayres, who pitted a little earlier, has actually made some track time up, hasn't he?
Seems like it, and there's Ayres right on him. And Turlock is also still there.
Hello. Do I see rain?
Oh my hell! Oh, I was wondering why at the start of the race I already saw clouds, and I thought like, well, okay, it's cloudy, but rain.
Everyone, hold on. This looks quite strong as well, by the way. Let's see what happens over the next few laps. This is really frustrating for those who have just boxed.
Oh, this could be amazing for Francesconi and Musaitis that are still out there in first and second.
Oh, true. If it rains, they can just go straight onto the Inters, and they'll be in absolutely position A. So those guys now need to stay out to see if it does get wet enough. It won't be wet enough just yet. What is the weather doing? I don't have this fancy app that everyone seems to have. Just a drizzle, Szymon says. Okay.
Looks like I sent my weather over to you in England. Yeah, because I had a thunderstorm just like half an hour ago or something.
Yeah, well, I have a man in the know. Tom Stevens lives only just down the road from Silverstone. He said it was raining earlier, and invariably the weather comes from Tom's direction towards Silverstone. So this could be that same shower. It is real life weather we get in GPVWC. It's a great system, by the way. Look at the gap that between Pascal and McGorgy. McGorgy's just fired himself off into the distance. Potentially then. Oh, by the way, Pascal's on hards. So Pascal's on hard tyres, look. So maybe that's why he doesn't have that additional grip that McGorgy has currently. And is kind of therefore now holding back the guys behind him. But this race is on its head. If it does rain, this could be very interesting.
That means he's already made me say some lies because I was saying, sure, nobody's gonna go like the complete counter, but then he goes on the hardest compound, and yeah, I'm kind of wrong again.
What I would say is, the hard tyre isn't terrible. It just is a bit slower at the start, but it doesn't really degrade lap time wise. It's a great tyre from that point of view. It'll do the whole stint at the same kind of lap time. So yeah, keep an eye on him towards the back end of the stint if it stays dry, although it is still clearly raining. I'm going to check this. I'm going to ask someone to help me with this weather thing.
Depends how. Like if it's like...
It's supposed to be clearing soon, Szymon, our weatherman says. Well, it's still raining right now. But if it's supposed to be clearing soon, then it probably isn't going to be worth throwing a set of Inters on.
Not yet, no. Like, that also depends, like, rain intensity, and then if it really stays, or if it's just not going really high. Oh no, Pascal, no! Oh no.
He's managed to keep away from everyone else, but that was scary. He could have come easily back across the track. This releases Gobby on those medium tyres now to get after McGorgy, who's 4 seconds down the road, by the way, and steaming past Musaidis to take second position. He absolutely flying on those mediums. But this spin from Pascal so easily done when it's a little bit greasy. And there is a bump on the apex of this corner too. So he's hit the bump, and there it goes. He corrected it well, just a little bit too much counter steering. Did a great job of keeping it off track, actually. Well done, Christian. Shame about the spin.
I'm kind of sad. It was from the strategy point, like it looked to be so interesting, like the hards keeping ahead of the mediums, and then seeing if his like probably extended time he could go, if it would go anywhere as Owen gets into P1 net again.
It stopped raining, by the way. Yeah, there's no more rain. So it certainly was a very, very brief British-like scary moment, but Pascal's done in P10, look, by the way. So really, I mean, it would have taken a lot of life out of his tyres, that high-speed spin, wouldn't it, David?
Yeah, I mean...
throws it on the inside on Singh as well.
Ping pong.
Yeah, he needs to keep his head here, Christian Pascal. Not do an Alex Lahou from earlier in the season. If you do get involved in a little incident, you have to just screw your head back on and be sensible. And he looks like he's frustrated with himself. You can see the body language of the car. He's now frustrated with himself and feels like he needs to be ahead of Singh. That might not actually be the case for his long-term race.
I was gonna say, like, the Hearts already, I mean, they have consistency. You can drive them for a longer time, of course, but as with any tire, like if you overheat them and then you spin like around like that, then for a certain amount of time, and of course if you keep overdriving them, they will still feel like, I don't know, I mean, you slide around a lot and then it won't help you at all. So, and if you keep sliding them, then the Hearts will be kind of useless at the end of the stint, or even earlier, of course.
Well, yes, the mediums are definitely faster in the first few laps of the stint. It's whether McGorgy has used too much of that tyre, or whether he's just playing a more aggressive strategy at this point. But everyone in the top 9 then on the medium C2 compound tyre is Pascal in P10, who's the first runner on hards, and he was the interesting driver, but he's lost so much time and probably a lot of tyre wear as well in that spin. I suspect he will no longer be a factor in this race.
He's lost like 8 seconds now if I look back on the timing tower. That's of course a lot. I mean, spin and then having to rejoin over the grass, so that's a lot of time lost. So yeah, shame, as we have Von Bussel attacking against Coppellini, who's fighting back. Oh no. Oh.
Van Bussel goes through, moves up to P13, and will be happy about that. A little look at the replay then. So Cappellini on the outside, and to be honest with you, Van Bussel forced him off the track there, and he bounces over the anti-cut. Nothing like Cappellini can do. I'd be a bit frustrated by that, actually. I think he was entitled to a bit more space than that. There we are. Here come the people who have not stopped yet and are doing a one-stop strategy, being overtaken by those who have boxed, and Gobby unable to get through this time round. So that is going to harm his overall race.
Yeah, this is crucial right now. He needs to get past them if he wants to have any chance, even if Owen has more tyre wear.
Look how hard he's making it for him, by the way, Musaidis.
Well, he's got his teammate there. What's that him?
And that was... yeah, and...
nearly perfect.
And then Francesconi boxes, so... yeah, so that is... Ayres then is in a net P3.
It's like reverse.
Yeah.
It's like reverse from Pasquale. Like he's now taking his place and he's getting close.
That was a big twitch and a good save from Gobby there. Fabrizio Gobby full sideways there. It didn't look like much, but if you've driven any kind of car like this, you know how easy it is to flick the back end round, just like we saw Christian Pascal do. And he held onto that well, Gobi, but he's going to be eaten alive in the DRS zone. Michael Ayres is going to go through here and into P2, side by side through the left-hander into the right-hander of Luffield, but Ayres is through on the inside. And Gobi now demoted to P3. Ragusa is teammate P4. They just don't have the pace they had in the opening stint. They don't have the DRS help. And it's now a fun little race for P2.
Has to run away quickly, because I'm not sure Gobi will necessarily help him. I mean, they're 7 seconds down on Magorki right now. I mean, of course, he could just play or let Ayres play their locomotive and try to catch, but seems difficult right now. They might more catch battle under each other.
Yeah, if they battle with each other, that means there's no chance, doesn't it? So, as you're absolutely right, their best bet is to sit in a kind of train, a locomotive, as you say, and try to catch up together, work together. But of course, they can't communicate with one another. So, Mozarides pits then. So he has had enough of those C2s. He's going to pit, go onto the hard tyres and trying to make it to the end from here with a one-stop strategy.
Looking good so far. Like some channeling their inner Russell.
Of course.
Funny.
Yeah, we saw different strategies in the F1, of course, last weekend. We're going to see different strategies today. And on Thursday, I anticipate a lot of people will not want to use the C1 tyre. Certainly, you know, the C2 seems to be the better race tyre from my experience anyway. So, and that's kind of showing itself here today in Superlights. You want to be on that C2 tyre. The C1 is just not quick enough. It lasts forever. Good if you're starting outside the top 10, which of course Francesconi and Mozarides did. It gives you an opportunity to have counter strategy and lap in free air for parts of the race. But if you start in the top 10 on the softs, you want to go with C2s. It'll be a 2-stop here in Superlights, most likely a 3-stop in Super League on Thursday on that tyre, and that's going to be the fastest way today. I would say the 2-stop C3 soft to 2 sets of C2. We'll see what happens to Mozarides and Francesconi, but they only have 1 stop to make, but then so does everyone in front of them. They also have 1 stop to make, so I don't really see them making much more ground than that.
Just seen Ayres have a bit more wheel spin out of, what was it again, Luffield, so he's probably, it seems he's pushing, or he's already having a bit of trouble maybe with getting the power down, but he of course wants to, as I guess, still break DRS to Gobi. Not quite successful yet. Oh, von Bussel. That's a Formula Ford now.
Yeah. Nice. That is a very wonky racing car for Jere van Bussel. He has hit the wall hard on the exit of Stowe. Here comes Sandeep Singh on the inside of Heigl Poom as they head into Luffield. Look at this camera view. It's so good. It's going to track them all the way around the corner. Singh unable to make that move, but he's trying to switch back, get the slipstream as they head towards the old first corner of Cops, and he's got the push to pass button enabled. Definitely there. Side by side they go. You've got to give each other room, and he does. Sing through.
Nice move. He's still on him though. Let's see if he can get to DRS later.
This is going to be a monumental shunt for Jere van Bussel. I can tell you that now. Is it traction or is it on the curb? On the curb. That's what I thought had happened earlier. That is huge. That would be...
Oh, no! Oh. Don't reverse. Just please don't. But looks like it's only just him out.
Yeah, unfortunately that's both drags out now, and they really have struggled with the rear end of that car all season. And I'm not sure why. I'd like to help them if I can. Because I know both of those guys are decent drivers, the Dutchmen. And yeah, not working out for them. And of course, Drag is a Welsh team after my heart. It means Dragon in Welsh.
I was not gonna, but I was like thinking of the Flying Dutchman, but yeah, the flying in that part going in the wrong direction. Sorry.
Here's
I mean-
Lorenzo Capellini. Just go on, David.
No, I was just saying, like, I mean, there's one part of a car being like, top of the pile or nearly in development stages, but like also fully understanding it or being able to squeeze it out. That's another part of thing. Even I would say I would have a trouble hard time getting the performance out of the car. So it's not just like dropping the upgrades on it and then just expecting to go fast. And of course, nothing against Tom and Jerry. They're like both trying really hard and decent drivers. But I mean, for at the moment right now, it's maybe they've not unlocked it yet, but it's not an easy car in any case.
No, it isn't. I would say the first thing you should be doing before trying to get pace out of the car is to make it drivable. And it just hasn't looked, that drag has not looked drivable all season in their hands, and that's no slight on them whatsoever, before everyone shouts at me. It's just looked difficult. They've just had incidents, and it's a shame, you know, because it's a really nice livery as well, by the way. That drag livery is really cool. One of my favourites in this series, so a shame for them. Gobby still putting pressure on Michael Ayers then in the Valley Esports car. As he's returning to the series. I switch between Ayers and Ayers. I have no idea how to say something. I'm going to ask him. I'll be able to then say it definitely the correct way for the remainder of the season, should he return again. Fabrizio Gobby, though, doing what he did in the first stint, sitting in the DRS, and they have pegged back, or rather, they've maintained the gap for the last few laps to the leader, so it's not all lost. We are only just over halfway through. Oh no! Sideways goes Ragusa! Completely by himself. Ragusa keeps it out of the wall. He did a great job keeping out the wall, but he's coming back on track in front of Singh. He's going to lose positions here. Poom will want to get by as soon as possible. He knows he'll be rattled. Giuseppe Ragusa, a former race winner in this championship. He won the race at Bahrain. Loses it all by himself on the exit of Copse Corner. And now Poom down the hangar straight towards Stowe. And he's looking to get through. He's towing Christian Pascal, the recovering Pascal, along. But Ragusa just threw away that position.
So much about quickly losing those seconds. But to be honest, I have to hold up my hands. I was like, when I was looking at Gobby following, I was like thinking, well, Ragusa's like already 6/10 away and he's losing DRS soon. It's like I've already cursed him by thinking about him.
Oh, it's on the curb again. It's such a difficult curb to get. He's done so well to keep that out of the wall, by the way. But that curb is so easily done to spin on that curb. It's serrated, it's high, and it's easy to run wide at Copse as well. That you can find lap time by running right to the edge of the curb, but Gobby's lost his stablemate, and Ragusa is down to P6 as a result of that spin.
I'm a bit speechless again, yeah. It feels like the curse, like you can barely look at these curbs and they like make you spin, but as you say, well held and good comeback and not run into Sandeep there coming back.
I would say with kind of Ragusa there, he was already losing those few tenths, as he rightly pointed out. Perhaps he was pushing a little bit too hard, do you think?
It could be. Probably also like, I mean, he had the older tire already. I mean, that was like 1 or 2 laps as Gobby, as his teammate here, goes past Ayers again. Goes wide though. Ayers comes back.
Yeah, they're going to go side by side through the Vale and down into Club. And Ayers settling there for that position, but he seems to have better tyres right now. Even though Gobby pitted the lap later, the traction looks better on that Valley Esports car. I don't know whether it's just a setup or not. You've got to be careful going through here behind another car. The dirty air can really mess with you, and Ayers did the sensible thing and lifted out of the throttle through there. But through we go through T2 and T3. Platts in the box. We've got saying Remco Deseo was still in the pit lane. I don't know if that's the case or not. In fact, it looks like he's just finished his stop, so potentially he's missing some appendages. But yeah, Ayers down the back straight, then down the Wellington straight towards the left-hander of, I think it's called Brooklands, and then into the right-hander of Luffield we go, and he's not close enough, I would say, to make a move into cars. Platt coming out of the pit lane then, he's coming off those hard tyres, and he's going onto a set of mediums, C2 for Platt to the end of the race, I would assume from here, although that seems like a long way. To do 27, he's not going to make it on those tyres, he's going to switch to a 3-stop. Very interesting from Dylan Platt, that.
Maybe it didn't work out with, I mean, I don't know, I'm testing, but maybe it didn't quite work out with what, you know, like 1 or 2 stop were having in mind, that it didn't quite work out on their car, and they are, well, for the most part, or he is going for the most part for a more aggressive one, and then going 3-stopping, so we'll see. As his teammate gets overtaken here by Pascal.
Yeah, absolutely, and he's on those hard tyres, Pascal, as well, so I'm wondering if they're just, oh my goodness, I wonder if they're just coming into their own now, and the medium tyres just dropping off that little bit, and they are going through. Who's that behind them? Is that a lapped car? Is that, who is that?
Yeah, that's one of the, what was it?
Is that TG? Is that Zongoli, do we think?
Blue Bolt, what's it the name? Blue Bolt?
TG.
It's one of them, yeah.
Yeah. Pascal through though, nevertheless, past the TR Geeks car, and here's Jan Sakura for TTF. He's had a quiet race, which is always what you want on your debut. He's pitting, he's currently in 11th, he's going to lose out to Platt, I would say, here, and potentially would go through as well. Yes, we saw the Gallery 82 flash through our screen there. Not a great race for Gallery 82 this time round. They have got a slightly updated livery, it's slightly updated. Niels has tweaked the livery for this round, and it's ever so slightly different. You can play spot the difference with it, frankly. It's very minor changes, but it's a good looking livery, and nice and simple.
I like dark blue.
Yeah.
I can just say.
Yeah, it's a good looking car. And he's being closely hounded by Jan Sakura then. And
oh no, no!
Oh, it wasn't an overlap there. To be honest with you, there wasn't quite an overlap. I'd have to see that again. See if so the rules dictate you have to have your front wheel alongside the rear axle of the car in front. I don't think he was quite there, but I do kind of feel like there's no point squeezing him off the track at that point. You know he's just come out on fresher rubber.
Got
so he's
a lock in the pits at least.
Yeah, and so down the hanger straight we go. Herlock does pit, and Shakura goes through easily with the DRS. You see, that's what I mean. It feels like Rogos didn't have to fight him that hard, really. Herlock then coming out, and he's going to clear easily the one stopping Francesconi and Rosaidis, and Pum comes out of the pit lane as well. So he's had enough of those tyres. He's gone on to the mediums. And again, I don't think he can get to the end from there, so it must be a 3-stop on those tyres.
I was just thinking about Herlock. This was crucial coming out ahead of Francesconi Musaidis, because I was just always on the blink in the corner of my eye. I was looking at like Gobi there, they're fighting, but Joseph Herlock just being there and kind of waiting and looking, and I think like now's the time that now pitting, he could jump them and maybe make it work staying ahead of them if he does it well.
I'm talking absolute nonsense. There's 17 laps left of this race, so yeah, 16 now. So Heigl Pum could easily make it to the end of the race from here, no problem at all. As McGorgy pits from the lead, so yeah, he's going to do the exact same thing, I would say, and protecting his lead with a bit of an undercut here too as well. So McGorgy pitting, he's going to go on to medium and go to the end of the race without a problem. He could potentially even go softs here. So we'll see what McGorgy does. Up on the axle stands he goes, down he goes again. Another set of mediums goes on the car. That's the sensible, safe and sorted option. And out goes McGorgy into a bunch of cars. But it doesn't really matter, he has such a big lead. He should be easily okay by the time they all box.
This is just Pasquale up ahead on his now kind of second-hand hard tires.
Yeah, this won't take long, will it, David?
No, and as Platt sets the fastest lap.
McGorgy will have to wait, actually. He didn't quite get it done in that DRS zone. Trying to go round the outside of left field, and he's not going to be left any room there if I was Pascal, and Pascal indeed doesn't leave him any room there. Will McGorgy, oh my goodness! Yeah, will McGorgy wait, or will he want to get through straight away? He has been balked quite heavily, you know. This has cost him a good couple of seconds so far, and there's going to be another bit of time loss here. This hasn't worked out perfectly for McGorgy, actually. He still had substantial enough lead, but he's now going to get DRS and, of course, blast past. Look how much time Ragus has lost overall, by the way, after that spin. He's only just ahead of these guys. So, yeah, a shame for Giuseppe for his race. It's raining again, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone else. It is raining.
Right, I'm gonna have my greatest hits of Super Trump or something. Yeah, what was I gonna say? I was just gonna answer like, would he wait? No. Would Pasquale not try to defend? No. But as he is into the pits to also probably go on a set of mediums, I guess.
It is very light rain, I'm told. So, in fact, it looks like it's stopped altogether on the screen. It's hard to say. We're watching through kind of like a preview. Is it raining still? Yes, it is a little. So there is a little bit of rain out there. But will it be enough to affect the cars?
Could also go and ask Lee Davidson, my team manager for Epic Racing Super League 1, ask him how the weather is, because he's also from around there. But yeah, unless it just opened, like it would really start raining hard, then in which case Pascal would have hit a jackpot going on to Inters, but I think they would be dead before it really would work in any case, so yeah.
It takes, if it's not heavy enough rain, it takes a lap or two for the track to get fully wet anyway. And it looks like very, very light rain to me. So much so it's barely visible. Although it looks like it's coming down a bit more here, but it's a bit tricky to say what the actual percentage of rain is. There is kind of like a metric for it in R Factor 2. We can see how wet the track is and how intense the rain is. It looks like a low intensity rain to me.
Just looking at lap times here, okay, like I'm looking at the lap times, Herlock versus AS and Gopi, and ooh, yeah, they're losing over 1.5 seconds, I think, right now to Herlock, so they have to probably go to the softs at the end of their stint to gain the time back if they keep, well, staying out, and even just going around without fighting, they lose time.
It's not the right strategy. I mean, they will go to softs, I'd imagine. They'll probably pinch fastest lap as a result, but maybe they feel it's not worth, or maybe they feel they're staying out maybe because the rain could get heavier. But all the information I have says that it's going to stop almost immediately, but who really knows? I certainly have no idea.
It's still a possibility, in which case, like, you know, Owen was looking kind of unchallenged so far, but you know, as you say, if it's not getting very much heavier, if it just stays like this, it's not enough. So he's still on the right way as he catches his teammate again to DRS past him.
Yeah, this will be easy. Singh will let the throttle off. Singh very friendly to his teammates and friends when on track, so he'll easily let McGorgy go by. Gobby and Ayres do pit now then. So into the pit lane they come. And the rain is apparently, did you say 1% intensity, Szymon? Okay, so there's no, oh thank you Tom Parker. There is no more rain, therefore. This will be, if not stopping slash, yeah, there's no more rain, basically. So these guys do come out on soft tyres though for Gobby and Ayres, so they will be fast for the next few laps.
I will be also interested to see if they keep working together to catch Herlock, because Herlock now has a gap of like 3.5 seconds to them, and even like with 10 laps, that they still have to catch that back up. Well,
Goose is going out on softs as well. It hasn't updated his actual on-screen tyres, but give it a second. And I don't know why rFactor does that. It's very irritating. It should instantaneously update. But as he turns in here, you'll see they're probably red now, and there they are in their resplendent red colour. Those tyres are the C3s, the softs, and he is only one of 3 in the top 10 on those softs. So he's looking to make amends for his earlier spin, and it has indeed stopped raining. So although that Valley Esports car is a little damp, it is not still raining. So that very soon will be a dry Valley Esports car. And he is slipstreaming his way down the back straight with Fabrizio Gobbi, and they're 11 seconds back of the leader. And I have to say, I think that's too much for them to catch.
I'm more worried about them getting close to Herlock. I'm really interested to see. Right now, I think it's down to, well, it was kind of 3 seconds. If again, and if the softs will last them long enough, and it will be in the end also when they caught him still be an advantage. And how much push to pass, like Joseph Herlock has saved, or those two have saved to kind of pass him, of course. As Sandeep Singh has finished his pit stop, but he's back to P9 behind Ragusa and ahead of the 2 TRs.
Singh absolutely 20 seconds back of his teammate once again. Just hasn't got to grips with this car this season at all. He was very quick last year in Superlights, quite often challenging for the podium and for wins. It's just been nowhere in comparison this season. It's not something I really know or understand why. So whether it's to do with the amount of practice he puts in comparison, or just doesn't like the car, but he's definitely a better driver than the results show. So yeah. Ragusa, by the way, he's caught quite quickly. He's right on the back of Pascal, isn't he? I think in terms of fights on track, it's only really whether Herlock can stay ahead of Gobbi and Ayers. And I should point out, Herlock has jumped them in the pit lane, so he has made those positions. That is genuine. Herlock is P2. We didn't really spot that, actually, David.
That was kind of hinting at all the time, because I said, like, out of the eye, I was like thinking when Gobbi and Ace were having their kind of, well, following, lurking at each other, like, I was always like thinking there's Joseph Herlock actually like coming back from being a bit further back, although he's kind of always been there, but I was just looking at him like he's just sitting there and waiting, and now he pounced, and now I'm interested to see, as I say, if Gobbi and Ayers, whatever their remaining push to pass time is, if they can close up and get him. But it looks like they're already, like, they halved their distance to him, so it seems to work out, as Ragusa here is fighting with Pasquale over P7.
Yeah, he's straight away through on Pascal. That was easy, actually, and he's not going to struggle to get past Francesconi here either. Mercedes and Francesconi have made positions up by going to the hard tyre and one stopping. It's just not going to work overall, I don't think. These guys should easily swallow them up, but in terms of track position, they've done quite well. So it's interesting. Clearly, the 2-stop is faster. It's whether or not they can hold them up enough to kind of affect other people's races. But Francesconi going very defensive down the hanger straight, and Ragusa not able to get through. He's going to try and hang it around the outside of Stowe. Oh, what a move if he keeps that. I don't think he was given enough room. He's entitled to take that position, I would say. I don't think he was given enough room by Francesconi there. Through goes Ragusa. Now, of course, the floodgates have opened, and through goes Pascal as well. And this will be nice and easy for Sandeep Singh as they head toward the first corner. Francesconi gives him a little bit of a weave, and Singh goes through nevertheless. Francesconi losing 3 positions in as many corners there, David.
I was gonna say, potentially yes. Like, I think I've seen that kind of move last weekend too, but at the same time, what was Francesconi going to do over like next 2-3 laps? I think he would have probably been caught either way, but you know, that's not how you usually would judge incidents. An incident is an incident or something to look at, but Yeah, he was kind of, I mean, against those softs, kind of on the lost position.
Is it possible to go back again, Szymon? I watched that then, but that looked very much like...
Open the steering or so.
Yeah. I want to watch this again, just to see... Because they were fully side by side. Yeah, it's... I don't know about that one. Almost like he got a twitch on him. It's fine, because Ragusa's through. It's you know... But I think he was more forced out, as opposed to overtook him off track on purpose. Do you see what I mean?
The thing is, yeah, I
Herlock's
mean,
been overtaken by Gobby, so this is what we were expecting. So he has been overtaken. So here comes Ayres then as well, and this is not a place to make an overtake. He'll back out of that one. Poom then behind Francesconi. So that, oh my goodness, Hygo is struggling on the rear end of that TL Geeks car. He's done a few laps on those tyres actually already. Here comes Ayres then on those soft compound tyres. They're good for another 3 or 4 laps at least anyway. He should be able to make this move stick. Opens the DRS. Through he goes on the inside and past the red arrow car. Poom has no traction, by the way, David. You can see him twitching away on the wheel then as they head onto the Wellington straight. And Francesconi goes defensive and then retakes his line. That's fine. All of that's cool. Poom with the fresher rubber then, of course, now wants to get a switchback going. There's no traction in that car at all, so he's going to have to bide his time. It'll have to be after Copse corner, I would expect, unless he's using some push to pass, which he is. Francesconi goes defensive. They go side by side into Copse. This is a very fast corner. You don't want to be doing that there. And now Poom's best bet is to wait for the DRS zone on the hangar straight and stick as close as he can through the fast left, right of Maggots Beckett. Through we go. Platt behind him, his teammate, very, very close. Oh, big old twitch for Poom as he heads onto the hangar straight. Musaidis loses out to Ragusa. We head back to Poom, and Poom not able to get by Francesconi this time round. And as they come out of the Vale, down into Club Corner, the final couple of corners on the lap, and it's been a whole lap that Poom's been held up here, and he's unable to get by Michael Francesconi. Here's Sandeep Singh though, very close to Musaidis. Musaidis is going to be eaten up here, I expect, over the next couple of laps by the guys behind, David.
yeah, it was like, I was thinking back to your comment about like he's so far off his teammate, and I was like thinking, yeah, well, at least in qualifying he's starting under the top 10, you know, in such a decent car against his strong teammate. But it looks like he's finally gonna get P6 here against Musaidis. Nice one. As I think I was looking, what was Hygo? I looked for a moment that Dylan would take Hygo or let him through, but
I think
no.
that's more to do with the fact that Michael Francesconi is doing a great job at delaying them, more than Platt being faster than Poom at this stage. In terms of their tyre wear, Poom does have the better rubber right now, so he is the kind of better option to have a go. So he is on the coattails of Francesconi through Maggots Beckett once again, and I don't think he's close enough actually, and he's still struggling with that rear of that car as they head onto the hangar straight. The DRS enabled, and Francesconi has to go defensive. This time Hygo Poom probably using a bit more push to pass. He sweeps around the outside. Francesconi! Oh,
He kinda saw something like that coming a bit. I was gonna say like the Francesconi and the car of course has the tire life on against him, like on his old one stopper, but at the same time this TR has, it looks like it's eating through his tires, and I don't know if the setup or the car is not, or it's really not setting well. So that maybe is their disadvantage, and they're kind of meeting in the middle, and well, they kind of met in the middle.
Yeah, I'm interested to see this replay before I pass any judgment whatsoever on this. Don't want to be, don't want to offend anyone in any kind of chat, but I would say, from initial viewing, it looked a little like it was almost like a desperate lunge from Francesconi that he didn't need to make. I'll reserve full judgment until I've seen this, but I'd like to see on board from Francesconi if we can, because as he's weaving about all over the place, and then we come down into the corner, he's never making the apex. It's just a huge lunge from Francesconi, and just way too late on the brakes and understeers into Poom. He's lucky that Poom didn't lose too much out of that, because that could have been a big shunt. Here's Pascal on Mosaidis then, so Mosaidis much more, I say that as he tries to send it around the outside, he's going to be run out of room there, and that's fine, because Pascal was well and truly ahead, and Pascal on those fresher tyres able to make his way through up into 7th place. So it hasn't worked, the one stop has not worked really, and Platt's going to be Platt and Poom are going to be coming from Mosaidis over the next 3 or 4 laps. The lead, by the way, is down to 6.4 seconds, and the last lap Gobby was 7/10 quicker than Owen McGorgy, so it's not all over yet. I'm going to keep a keen eye on that, because the Sector 1 time as well, Gobby's a 10th faster. There's 4 laps left. It's not going to be quite enough, but if McGorgy really has ruined his tyres at this stage, that gap could come down, you know. It's down already in the 5s. Well, keep an eye on that. Gobby's pushing hard, you know.
Was looking at just at the 2 again, Mosaidis and Platt 5 seconds, but I think Platt's pace is not quite enough to catch him if Mosaidis doesn't dramatically lose time over the next few laps, so it could be too late, and TR could already be through his tires again. And then we also I'm gonna say the shout out to Sikora now, that is sitting in 10th fighting Poom. Quite race, but he's there, and I'm not really sure if Heiko Poom will get back at him, because his tires he doesn't get the power down, having issues. He probably not getting the, you know, the momentum out of the turn, could not get him, so maybe Sikora stays ahead. I'm not sure yet, but he's so close to a nice top 10 debut here.
And that TTF is not the fastest car by any stretch of the imagination on the grid either. It's probably like the 5th or 6th best car, so that is a great result on your debut to be in the top 10. So kudos to Jan. Now the gap at the front is still coming down a lot. 8/10 faster Gobby on the last lap. He's going to run out of laps, unfortunately, for Fabrizio Gobby. Whether McGorgy is just taking it easy or not, it's hard to say. Is Singh and Ragusa in the other on-track TX3 versus Road to Formula battle. And this one is in the favour of the Italian. And Giuseppe recovering nicely to P5 from that spin earlier on, which would have harmed his race quite substantially, David.
I had the spin. I was zoning out for a second, because I was already thinking at the front. I was already like thinking, it's kind of, there's a dangling carrot, not quite, you know. It's, I don't know. Owen is not driving faster than he apparently needs to, or it seems like it. So it looks like the dangling carrot in front of Gobby. But yeah, Sandeep. Well, Ragusa might be a tough cookie to still overtake. Might not be enough on a DRS, so could come down if he has still some push to pass left to get him. Difficult to say right now, but
it is. That's our job, though.
I'm already a bit drained.
It's only 41 laps into a 43 lap race. What do you mean?
It's not so easy thinking about it when you sit in like a Recaro Katara seat and you sweat a lot.
Oh, it's all for Sam, isn't it? In the Recaro seats. Gee. Well done, mate. In your racing seat. But Singh here, he's much closer to Ragusa this time round. Not close enough to make a move into Brooklands, and through the left-hander they go. A late apex you need there, and then an early double apex at Luffield. As we skip backwards to the TR Geek sandwich, and the filling is Jan Sikora in that TTF car, trying to get by the car of Dylan Platt, who's in P9, of course, after Poom and Francesconi had their coming together.
Oh, this is painful, you know, because I think Heiko could get him, but his own teammate giving Sikora DRS is making it unable to get him, because I think that's just the thing that's keeping it from it. And now it could even look that Sikora could prepare an attack, maybe, but at least it's keeping him safe from the attack from, oh, as we have the attack from Sandeep Singh here.
Yeah, Sandeep Singh coming down the inside into Club.
Oh no!
What
Oh
on
no!
earth happened there?
Ah, too tight, I think. Oh,
Yeah,
I'm not sure. Understeer by the other guy too tight.
Yeah, well, again, I'll reserve judgment till I've seen. But Sikora's through.
Sikora
Look.
gets him.
Yeah, P9 for the TTF driver. So it's all changed in the last couple of corners there, and oh goodness!
You go ahead.
That was an interesting, almost like he lifted, and Pum hit the back of him. It was very, very close. So they went side by side then, and then if we go on board, this is good. On board with Singh, let's see what happened here. Did he get pinched? Oh, I don't know. That's a tough one to call.
Tire.
Yeah, that's a tough one to call. It's like
it's not really. No, I think it's just the trajectory of the tires, and if you touch tire to tire here, you go spinning. Kind of. It's hard to avoid.
Oh,
the momentum just
error.
dings you.
Yeah, Platt made a big error there. That's that allowed Sikora through. What do you think then on the Singh Ragusa? Is it 50-50? You'd say then?
I can't really see. No, I can't really see anybody really being responsible, because it's just, yeah, the contact car on car is difficult. Like, I can just say if you hit them at that trajectory, it happens. As they, well, easy. Sandeep just goes through.
Yeah. Oh, good. Wow. A big dive then back from Ragusa. And he is not hanging about. He's going to send this one. Down the outside he goes. He's trying to get the side-by-side action going through Club. We've just started the final lap of the race. So these guys battling away on the penultimate lap then. And here comes Pascal. And those softs have gone for Ragusa in particular. Not able to hang on to them. And Pascal coming back at him on those C2 tyres. Gobby still eating into Magorgi's lead. He has run out of laps. We thought that might happen. But so Pascal, the big loser from this race, if you look, is down 5 positions for his P2 grid slot. He can still recover 1, I would say, from Giuseppe Ragusa. It all depends how much push to pass, how much fuel they have left as well on the final lap of the race. Whether they've saved any push to pass for that final straight. Usually you try and save at least 5 seconds for a final lap go, but Pascal here, he is very, very close. But of course, where they are now, Ragusa could still get DRS off the back of Singh. It's 8/10 the gap, and the detection zone's on the way into Maggots Beckett. I think he's going to have DRS. Through the final couple of corners comes our leader then. Once again, we haven't really spoken much about Magorgi. He's been out in front all by himself. He comes through the final corner to win here at Silverstone in the Superlights. Gobby coming through as well for P2, eventually for him, P2. It's so tight as they head into Stowe. Oh, Pascal's rear end! Oh, I thought he was going to lose the back end and throw away his P7. Herlock coming through for P4 behind Michael Ayers, who did a great job of returning to the series and being on the podium straight away. Singh in P5 and is going to be Ragusa ahead of Christian Pascal. And Muzaidis coming through in 8th position. Sikora, a great result for him in P9, where he's been closely followed to the line by Hygo Poom, who does finish ahead of Platt in the end. And Michael Francesconi, he's unfortunately been a little bit in the wars today. P12 for him. One stop not really working whatsoever for him. Ragosa, P13, had a very quiet race to P13 for him too. And the final points positions went to Gilles Sonneveld and Remco de Zeu, as we see an unnecessary front wing in the middle of the track there. There we go.
Should say no comment.
Round we go on the in-lap. No comment indeed. I don't want to get in trouble. But it is the in-lap. I mean, after the race is finished, what are you doing? But Magorgi wins then. Once again, an unbelievable season he's having. He either wins or he disconnects, it seems. And he is flying on the championship dive.
Indeed, like I was thinking of probably some question for him, but to be honest, it always looked like, especially at like the first stint, but also in the last, maybe less in the last, but it looked like there was still something left that he could have given, but he didn't need to. And all the time I'm saying this, like I don't want to be mean to his opposition, but it just looked like to me there is some. I mean, his talent is there. There's no doubt about it. So it's up to the opposition to get him. But yeah, it wasn't the case today.
Yeah, I think he puts in the prep, and if you put in the preparation and do the laps, then I think you deserve the results. And I feel like there are other drivers who don't do that in this series, and certainly in general in online sim racing, it's the case. You know, hard work pays off, and if you don't put the hard work in, you can't expect the results. McGorgy does indeed take another victory this season. That is his. It's had a lot. The answer to that question. Let's have a look at the standing on GPVWC.com. He has had, this will be his 6th race win of the season. He's had a P2 and 2 DNFs to go with that. And both those DNFs were from the lead of the race too. Not exactly too shabby a season for the British driver. Further down the field then, Dylan Platt did take 11th place in the end. And we did round out the top 15 actually live. So Capolini 16th place. Kilian Coit in 17th. Flavio Zongoli had an interesting race to P18. Patrick Magnussen, we didn't see too much of him, P19. Kevin Voish in 20th position. Gary Van Boetel, unfortunately DNFing with Christian Francesconi as well. Mano Manikandan in 23rd position and 24th. Well, I guess they're all DNFs for Tom Hunterford.
Gotta say here a small compliment to Remco Desai for, you know, for his survival. I don't know. I'm not finding the word right now, but one of the fusion that started the race, and he gets a point for finishing 15th. So I think that also warrants a well done there.
It does warrant a well done. It's very important to stick at it and not retire too early. We have a couple of people waiting for an interview. I'm going to drag in Owen McGorgy shortly. Firstly, I want to say next race in 2 weeks' time is the Hungarian Grand Prix, but in 2 days' time is the Super League Silverstone round. Do tune in to that. So this is the Super League calendar in 2 days' time on Thursday, same time. Well, actually, slightly earlier. We started a bit late today. You will be able to catch our Premier Series in action, and there is a fantastic championship fight hotting up between Tom Stevens and Jake Denahan in THR and Edge respectively, and those two have been at it all season, and it is now anyone's guess as we head into the second half of the season who is going to take that one. But that is Super League. We are here in Superlights, and once again our Superlights victor, if you like, was Owen McGorgy. Congratulations, Owen. Well done, mate. It was a consummate professional job from the front of the field, and you were never really challenged. How did it feel?
I'd say I was quite challenged in the first stint. I don't know what was going on, but the tyre wear was so much worse, and I was tyre saving even more than I was in practice. And because I was expecting to at least be easy going to lap 13. But then my front left was already on about 30 on lap 12, so I had to box. And then I just gained time on the undercut. I knew the undercut was huge, which is why I went for mediums again in the last stint, because I knew I'd gain quite a bit. I didn't think it would be that close with Pascal in the last stint, but getting past him was quite tricky until we got to the straight. I did want to do a move at cops, but I pussied out a little bit. I didn't want to ruin both our races. I knew I had quite a big lead, and they were going to catch me on softs, I knew. But just controlling the pace on the mediums. The tyres were fine on the mediums somehow. and I had loads to use at the end of the race, but there was no real point of risking anything.
Thanks for that, Owen. Apologies about the language, but obviously very the adrenaline's flowing after another victory, and that is your 6th out of 9 races this season, a P2 and 2 DNFs to go with that, Owen. It's been very very good so far, and you have a massive lead in the championship. Is it you know, is it still fun for you to turn up and practice and do these races? I mean, it does seem to be quite easy for you.
I mean, I like winning, so I don't mind. That's
Okay. Okay. David, do you have a question for Owen?
He's kind of a bit destroyed this already, because I was like before saying like, he always looked like he had something, like in the first stint when the other guys were just using as a locomotive. He was just sitting there because he knew it would kind of not be important to just push away and destroy tires. But like the final stint, I was like saying, yeah, Gopi is coming closer. But it makes it look like he just drives as fast as he needs to, and it's kind of the dangling carrot for Gopi that sees it's there, but he can't reach it. So I was gonna ask if you surely had something left, and I mean, you kind of said you had something left to push out at the end, but yeah, I mean, kind of gone.
I didn't have more pace in the tires because I was pushing from lap 13 or lap 12 when I boxed onto the mediums, because I knew I could push them all the way. It's just the tire wear was so good that I had more tire left than I thought I would, but I couldn't use it anymore because then I'd just go slower. Yeah.
Right.
And I knew well, I thought Gobi's tires were going to go off a bit more towards the end. I'm surprised that he caught what was it, like 8-9 seconds in that stint. I thought he would drop off a little bit more, but looking at his times, they didn't drop off as much as mine were in practice. So yeah.
Well done, Owen. Anyway, you had a good result today. Didn't quite take fastest lap. I believe that went to Ragosa actually. So, but still, pole and a race win. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Going to bring in Sandeep Singh, who is the only other driver waiting for an interview. So Sandeep, obviously working with Tommy Lee, did it help before the race? Did you learn anything from the setups and so on? Did you feel like you developed a little bit more this time around?
That was this is a pure new setup we just made. Literally started from default from scratch because whatever we had wasn't working. Well, it wasn't working for me. I wasn't stuck with the older version of the setup. I went with the new way to test it out, and yeah, it looks like looks like it was a similar pace, but I felt a lot more pointy on the front, which is what I like. But we'll see what happens. It's still like in the beta phase, I guess.
Yeah,
hopefully it can be more developed, more refined for Hungary. But
well, that's a very different track, Hungary. You'll have to start
yeah,
again,
but there
probably.
is no. There's some characteristics you take away. You got a lot of fast, high-speed corners here, so and it's good on the front tires, which is what you need for Hungary as well. So I'll definitely be able to fine-tune it a little bit more.
Good. Obviously P5, I believe today. We've seen you on the podium before. How do you feel? That the second half of the season will go. Are you hoping to get a little closer to Owen? Is that the plan?
Yeah, I mean, like quality didn't go well for me. I had whether I had him just race him and practice I did with Owen. I had a lot more understeer today in the first half of the evening, I guess. So it was there in qualifying, and then it was there in the first stint as well. But then I made a change in the front wing in the pit stop, and a couple other things like you changed, like the brake map and stuff. And the car felt a lot more better in the second stint. And it showed I was able to like move forward in that phase, and managed to get P5 in the end on. I can't remember who I passed, one of the green guys.
Yeah, Ragusa.
Yeah, him. Yeah, we had a small incident. I'm not sure what even happened. We were very clean in Stowe, and then I felt like I need to look at it again, but I thought he turned in a little bit on me, but I'll have to look.
Well, me and David were looking at that. David kind of made the point. It's just about where the tires come across, and it's kind of very difficult in a braking zone like that to exactly turn in at the right point. It did look like you were maybe squeezed a little bit, but of course you got by almost straight away afterwards anyway. So, but nevertheless,
I think maybe he turned in a bit too. I think maybe he turned in too sharp because he did leave me the width on from like the inside, so there was enough width he left me, but I think he just turned in too sharp. That was it. But luckily, we both didn't really lose positions. We maybe lost a bit of time to like curl lock, but that was about it. So. It's fine because you know through Stowe and other parts of the track where we had a battle, it was really nice and clean. So it's just a little bit of misjudgment. So I'm fine.
Yeah, it's not like previous incidents we've seen this season, not regarding you necessarily, but where it's been like a lack of judgment or whatever. I think it was just one of those kind of racing incidents. David, do you have a question for Sandeep?
Yeah, there's kind of. I was gonna avoid like any performance gaps between both cars. Like, I mean, it checked out getting top 10 qualifying, unlike elsewhere people. I was even gonna mention the same thing. I was like thinking, how Sandeep would have seen the incident between them, because, as I say, like I looked at the rear wheel of Ragusa, and he's like behind the front axle, the front wheel, and then he's, you know, from behind touching with the front of his rear tire, touching the rear of his front tire, and if you get that contact, it nearly always spins the cars around, or it unsettles them. So I was like thinking, should I ask if somebody also thinks like there's one thing of the bad luck between the contact, and if there was enough space given, but you know, it's kind of been answered, I'd say. So unless Sandeep would want to add something more, but I mean,
to ask a question.
Yeah,
I don't know, man. I didn't really get asked a question. I was just listening, but yeah.
We're like a 50-50 here, so.
Yeah. How do you find the race? We don't get to ask commentators how they found it. Go on. How did you guys find the race, Toby and David?
Well, I'll answer first. I think it's we were hoping that the rain would spice it up a bit more than it did, but it was like the second one was 1% max, so very boring. What about you, David?
Yeah, I think it kind of went south when Pascal spun on that tiny bit of rain, because until that point they were following, and it would be interesting to see if Pascal on the harder tires would go longer or keep the gap. There was a dropping back, but when he spun, it just, the race got a bit less well, at the front maybe for the win, but that was kind of the point where I thought like, oh, it broke it apart.
Fair enough. Well, thank you, Sandeep.
It's all right.
And yeah, we'll see you in 2 weeks' time, I guess.
Yes, hopefully. Yeah. See you later.
Sandeep Singh for Road to Formula there. So, big thanks to Szymon Frelik for fixing our issues earlier. We hope they don't recur. Looked like a one-off, I think. So, thank you, Szymon. Once again, working hard behind the scenes on the cameras as well. And of course, David, thank you for joining me today. Once again, been a fun race to watch. So thank you, mate. Any final words?
Basically, the thanks back. Yeah, nice that Szymon enables us to be part of it, watch it, commentate on it, and your professional words on it tonight. So, looking forward to the next one. Although Hungary, yeah, tight track, but we'll see who makes the best out of it there.
Absolutely. It's a completely, despite what Sandeep says, it is a different track. It's a much twistier track, from far fewer straights, and the corners are quite short, actually. So it is all about strategy. So keep an eye on that one. The tyres are lots of fun this season. I expect lots of different strategies and different numbers of pit stops. So it should be fun in 2 weeks' time, but do tune in 2 days' time to the Super League race. I've been Toby Davis. I've been joined by David Jundt and Szymon Frelik on cameras. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and we'll see you soon. Until then. Thanks, guys.